First, the claim that's made by these groups that they are on the same page as parents. Almost 70% of New Zealand parents believe that teens should be encouraged to delay sex at least until after high school. And in public forums, in material that's written for parents and policymakers, the sex ed industry insists they have the same goal. For example, your Ministry of Education's Sex Ed Guide for Principals, Boards of Trustees, and Teachers says a key message within our sexuality education program is the need to delay the start of sexual activity. And in the New Zealand Herald that came out a few days ago, there was an article about my visit here, and there was a response from Family Planning Chief Executive Jackie Edmond. And she said to the New Zealand Herald, "We support telling people to have loving, caring relationships and young people to delay having sexual onset." Now that sounds very good. That sounds like what we want to hear. But look at this family planning pamphlet for teens called Your Choice. It says, only you should control your sex life. Make sure it's your choice if or when you sleep with someone. Make sure you're really ready. Only you know when it is right for you. And from another one of their pamphlets that's called Questions and Answers to All Those Interesting Questions About Growing Up. There is no right age to have sex. The age someone chooses to have sex is different for everyone. It needs to be when it feels right for that individual person. A website called theword.org that family planning links to. Before you have sex for the first time, there are definitely a few things that need to be discussed. Are we ready? How comfortable do we both feel about becoming intimate with each other? Contraception. What options work best for you? Remember, it's best to use condoms, lube, and contraception until you are in a long-term committed relationship. Now, I've underlined that because it implies that you may not be in a long-term committed relationship. So kids are told it's up to you. There is no right age. Make sure you talk about contraception and make sure you feel ready. Now, some teens may ask, how do I know when I feel ready? So here's some more guidance from family planning. I think you're ready. This is a quote from another teen. I think you're ready to have sex if you feel it's right. If you hear little voices, don't do it, you should hold off. But if it's like, yeah, I'm ready, then okay. Now mind you, according to this advice, you could have a 13-year-old girl who meets a 16-year-old boy, and after a few days, if she hears little voices saying, I'm ready, do it, so long as a condom, according to family planning, it's just fine. So this is certainly not encouraging kids to delay sexual activity. Quite the opposite. And, I challenged Jackie Edmond to a debate, or really anyone from any of these organizations. We had the opportunity for a radio debate, but no one has stepped up yet to do that, unfortunately. Now let's look at the claim made by sex educators that parents should be the primary educators of their children. This is from another pamphlet for parents. Parents and caregivers are the first and most important sexuality educators of their children. Sex education ought to be taught at home. Now this implies that what the sex educators do is basically build on the parents' message, right? It implies that educators and parents are on the same page. But I'd argue that that's not at all the case. For example, look at this site to which family planning refers students. In fact, sex ed organizations introduce students to high-risk behaviors, discussing them as acceptable, healthy options. But these are activities that most parents don't want their children to even hear about. This is from the website Curious. I'm going to let you read this for yourself. There are many other examples from this and other websites that family planning links to. So suffice it to say that this all comes from a certain worldview, a vision of sexuality in which the focus, like I said, is not on health, but on being open and accepting and free of judgment. Of course, what's missing here is the biology that certain forms of sexual expression are much higher risk than others, with or without condoms. And the notion that all lifestyles are equal in terms of health is a dangerous one. Another one of those dangerous ideas that I referred to earlier. So the priority is sexual license, not health. And when sexual license or sexual freedom reigns, sexual health is going to suffer.